Ketanji Brown Jackson to complain about a children's book called Anti-Racist Baby. Josh Hawley is the only one brave enough to attack Ketanji Brown Jackson's track record on lenient sentencing for, I believe, the distribution of child pornography. And by brave enough, I mean, I'm just, I'm memeing. From what I understand, it's like a pretty common thing for judges to do because there's no sentencing disparity, or there's no difference in sentencing for people who are filming child pornography and distributing it. So I think that a lot of judges across the board actually have that same attitude where they do give lenient sentencing to distribution offenses. That still doesn't mean that it's like lenient. We live in America, baby. There's no such thing as lenient sentencing, but that's what he's trying to use as a talking point.
But have other motivations with respect
to
the use
let's watch what Ted Cruz is saying.
And being in the group, and here are lots of reasons perhaps why people might engage in this, and so I'm wondering whether you could say,
oh, there it is. Oh, they're literally doing it. Okay, so that's their big thing. Their big thing is going to be that she's like, pro child pornography or something, which is psychotic. You know what I mean? Just absolutely insane.
But they aren't.
Also, you guys are the libertarians. You're libertarian adjacent. What do you mean? You're upset at the distribution of child pornography, Ted Cruz? What do you know what libertarians are about? I mean, that's kind of fucked up, brother. About to lose some libertarian votes.
Is that? And I wanted to provide the whole quote because the White House said that portions of this were used out of context. So this is your entire quote. Do you agree with that sentiment that there is some meaningful population of people who have child pornography but are not in fact pedophiles or getting satisfaction from it?
Thank you, Senator, for allowing me to address what appears to be a question on child pornography.
Oops, sorry.
You've provided the entire quote, and it looks as though I was asking that of someone, not taking that position. And the position that I've taken in all of my sentencings involving child pornography offenders is to ensure that despite the attitude and view of many of the offenders who came before me when I was a trial judge, that they were just lookers, that they weren't really harming anyone, that they were curating their collections and they never touched a child, I made sure that they understood that notwithstanding their collecting behavior, that they were causing significant harm.
So Judge Jackson, all right, you raise your actual sentencing, and I think that's very productive. Let's take a look at your actual sentencing. And you've had 10 different cases involving child pornography. These are the cases. There are two, U.S. versus Buttry and U.S. versus Can, for which the government did not make a recommendation. And you said earlier when Chairman Durbin was trying to preempt this line of attack, you said it's a sickening and egregious crime, which I very much agree with. And you said the guidelines lead to extreme departures. Okay. Let's look at what the prosecutors are asking for. And I would note that this was in the District of Columbia, where prosecutors are far more liberal than
what is even the point of this? Is like implying she's going to legalize CP or something? Yes, that is quite literally the point. The point is there's an overarching, if you're familiar with this, there's an overarching attitude towards like LGBT being linked back to pedophilia historically. Like that's what conservatives, reactionaries have always used. Okay, I'm gonna unmute him in a second. And they're basically trying to say like Democrats are pedophiles. Again, it's just like a long way of taking that road to say Democrats are pedophiles when they're literally Republicans who fuck like 17-year-olds all the goddamn time and get caught doing so.
You were asked for 72 months. You imposed 60 months. That was a 17% reduction. In United States versus Downs, the prosecutor asked for 70 months. You imposed 60. That was a 14% reduction. In United States versus Hawkins, the prosecutor asked for 24 months. You imposed 3 months. That was an 88% reduction. In United States versus Savage, the prosecutor asked for 49 months. You imposed 37. That was a 24% reduction. In United States versus Stewart, the prosecutor asked for 97 months. You imposed 57. That was a 41% reduction. Every single case, 100% of them, when prosecutors came before you with child pornography cases, you sentenced the defenders to substantially below, not just the guidelines, which are way higher, but what the prosecutor asked for on average of these cases, 47.2% less. Now, you said you made sure the voice of the children was heard. Do you believe in a case like United States versus Hawkins, where the prosecutor asked for 24 months and you sentenced the offender to only 3 months? Do you believe the voice of the children is heard when 100% of the time you're sentencing those in possession of child pornography to far below what the prosecutor's asking for?
Yes, Senator, I do.
Could you explain how?
I will. A couple of observations. One is that your chart does not include all of the factors that Congress has told judges to consider, including the probation office's recommendation in these cases.
Well, Judge Jackson, we don't have those probation. The committee has not been given the probation office's recommendation. We would welcome them. Mr. Chairman, I would love to see those. We don't have access to them.
The second thing I would
Okay,
say
but then,
is that
oh, we didn't get that information, so I'm going to call you a pedophile lover.
I take these cases
Sorry.
very seriously as a mother.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you telling me?
someone who,
Are
as
you
a
telling me
judge,
that I
has
can't,
to
you know,
review
draw a direct line
the
into
actual
calling you
evidence
someone
in
who is
these
sympathetic to
cases
pedophiles?
and
That's fucked up.
based on
I'm going to keep doing that.
Congress's requirement, take into account not only the sentencing guidelines, not only the recommendations of the parties, but also things like the stories of the victims, also things like the nature and circumstances of the offense and the history and characteristics of the defendant. Congress is the body that tells sentencing judges what they're supposed to look at. And Congress has said that a judge is not playing a numbers game. The judge is looking at all of these different factors and making a determination in every case based on a number of different considerations. And in every case, I did my duty to hold the defendants accountable in light of the evidence and the information that was presented to me.
In 100% of the cases, was the evidence less than the prosecutors asked for?
Senator, the evidence in these cases are egregious. The evidence in these cases are among the worst that I have seen, and yet, as Congress directs, judges don't just calculate the guidelines and stop. Judges have to take into account the personal circumstances of the defendant, because that's a requirement of Congress. Judges have to consider things like the victims, and when I was talking about making sure that victims' circumstances are heard, it was about my sentencing practices
Well,
that I could
show victims being heard with respect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In 2012, the Sentencing Commission, on a unanimous bipartisan basis, issued a report recommending changes to sentencing for non-production child pornography, which is the subject at hand. Offenses because of widespread concern among judges and other stakeholders. For example, 70% of surveyed judges said the guideline ranges for possession and receipt offenses were too high. 71% said the mandatory minimums were too high. Notably, the report was supported by every member of the commission. I believe the question which Senator from Texas was referring to was part of the proceedings that led to that commission report, unanimous bipartisan basis commission report.
Mr. Chairman, very briefly, I would ask unanimous consent that the books I referenced be entered into the record.
Without objection. Senator Coons.
Thank you, Chairman Durbin, Ranking Member Grassley. Judge Jackson. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you, Senator.
I'd like to take a few minutes, if I could, and just give you a chance to address some of the issues just raised. My colleague suggested that you've never sentenced a defendant in a child pornography case consistent with what the government requested, what the prosecution requested.
Bro, that lenient sentencing as a judge, or lenient sentencing as a judge, a good thing. It doesn't matter what the fuck you're talking about, and every single thing that you cover is criminals. Every single time you do lenient sentencing on a criminal, they've done a crime. So of course it's gonna be fucking bad. Okay, it's gonna, I guess, technically look bad. You just have to literally plant your foot firmly in the goddamn ground, remind everyone that America has the most draconian, immoral criminal justice system, and it's the reason why we have 25% of the entire world's incarcerated population, enslaving them, by the way. And basically, fucking, you have to mention that it's bullshit. It's completely unacceptable. Of course, lenient sentencing is the right thing to do.
It would not.
And is that because overwhelmingly, nationwide, in 70% of cases, and in your district, 80% of cases, downward departures from the guidelines are the norm?
That is correct, Senator.
So to the extent there seems to be some concerted effort to try and characterize you as being soft on crime or somehow unconcerned about child safety, I just wanted to take another moment and give you a chance to respond to that. As a parent, as the member of a family that's had several members who've served your brother, your uncles in law enforcement, could you share a bit about how having loved ones who serve as law enforcement officers, in one case a detective on a sex crimes unit, has had an impact on your sense of the balance of justice and mercy in the case of ensuring that we hold to account those who commit crimes against children?
Thank you, Senator. As a mother, these
Soft on
cases
crime.
involving sex crimes against children are harrowing. What I think is important to understand is that trial judges who have to deal with these cases are presented with the evidence or descriptions, graphic descriptions. These are the cases that wake you up at night because you're seeing the worst
It's a little bold.
of humanity. When
the king is back.
When there are victim statements that are presented, when people talk about how their lives have been destroyed as children, how the people who they trusted to take care of them were abusing them in this way, and then putting the pictures on the internet for everyone to see. I sometimes still have nightmares about the main witness, the woman I mentioned earlier, who cannot leave her house because of this kind of fear, the vulnerability, the isolation. These crimes are horrible. And so I take them very seriously, just as I did all of the crimes, but especially crimes against children.
So, Your Honor, if I could, the characterization that was just presented in a recent column in the National Review, a conservative publication, has characterized that view of you as a smear that appears meritless to the point of demagoguery and characterizes your approach in sentencing in these cases as mainstream and correct. And I'll just remind my colleagues and those watching that two of the largest, most substantial law enforcement advocacy organizations in our country, the National Fraternal Order of Police and the International Association of Chiefs of Police, have spoken up in support of your qualifications and your capabilities. The FOP letter.
What we're currently watching is.
You have the temperament, intellect, legal experience.
What we're currently watching is the Fraternal Order of Police, by the way. That's what he's talking about. Hold on.
Was echoed by the IACP.
Cops love her.
In their letter, they said
Or they
believe
back
you have a
her.
deep understanding of and appreciation for the challenges and complexities confronting the policing profession.
Cops vouching for her.
And you
Anyway,
have,
listen.
during your time as a judge,
Listen.
displayed your dedication to ensuring our communities are safe and that the interests of justice are served.
He's
I
defending
find it hard
her,
to believe
yes.
that these
I know.
organizations, having looked closely at your
Anyway.
judicial decisional record, your sentencing decisions.
What we're currently
your
watching is
lifetime
a Senate
conduct,
confirmation
would have
hearing.
taken those unusual
Senate
steps to be
Judiciary
that
Commission-
forceful,
Committee's
in
confirmation
supporting
hearing
you if, in fact,
for
you
Ketanji
had
Brown
somehow
Jackson.
a disturbing record of
Joe Biden's first SCOTUS nominee appointee. This is a symbolic process for the most part. They're just gonna like belittle her. Ultimately, it's all a matter of like what Mitch McConnell and the Republican Party decide, or even in the situation, it's just like they're gonna. It's just there's nothing going on. Like it's just symbolic. This is pure symbolic. We did this with like Amy Covid Barrett, and in that situation, like it didn't matter. You know what I mean? But the reason why I said first is because, Clarence Thomas.
Big fish.
Same with Kavanaugh, and it doesn't fucking matter. Ultimately, they're just like having a conversation about like her background and grilling her about why she hasn't run the top of the hour ad break, and it's 23 minutes in, and only running it at the, instead of running it at the top of the hour, running it 23 minutes in, like a chump. Just kidding. That's me. At the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do that for $5 or for free if you want an ad-free broadcasting experience. Twitch Prime is free. Here's the 1-minute ad break now. My dad's an officer for Oklahoma and a member of the FOP borderline frat gang, and police is exactly what this position of power that makes police think the way to deal with bad guys are justified is really a gang mentality, to be honest. Yeah, of course.
who are well known for their conservative political or legal views, who wrote this committee to urge your speedy confirmation. They praised your character and intellect and called you, and I quote, a truly excellent person. I'd like to focus, though, on the way that these conservative lawyers characterized your judicial decision-making, which is, after all, the core issue before us, is whether you are the sort of judge at the district court and circuit court that should be elevated to the Supreme Court. And they note in this letter that in nearly 10 years on the bench, as a district judge and then in the Court of Appeals, Judge Jackson has been involved in thousands of cases running the full range of federal law. Your approximately 500, I think it's more than 570 now, opinions written during this time have, and I'm quoting, demonstrated complete command of the legal subject matter, a judicious and even-handed approach, a fine ability to express yourself with force and great clarity.
I hate that in America it's like
And I'm quoting,
it's seen as a
"Another
bad thing
attribute essential
if
for a
you
judge,
have
a sense of
lenient
empathy for the situations of others.
if you have a
Judicious and
lenient
even-handed.
sentencing
These prominent
attitude.
conservative lawyers want this
It
committee
doesn't
to
even
know
fucking
you're
matter.
judicious and even-handed and recommend you for the Supreme Court without reservation.
It's
Despite
just
having
crazy.
noted the
It's just
difference
crazy.
in
It's not seen as a bad thing to just total psychos. It's seen as a bad thing to most people. As I tweeted while this was going on, Americans are so brain broken about crime and automatically assume that lenient sentencing in our draconian, inhumane criminal justice system means that you support the crime and the criminal, rather than having a restorative, rehabilitative approach centering justice. Like, if you're doing lenient sentencing, that means you like the crime and you love the criminal and you actually might even want to do the crime yourself, and that's why you're doing
From
it.
his testimony.
And not because like that is your attitude, that this government is fundamentally flawed, this system is fundamentally broken, and that the system is fundamentally broken. What the fuck is this? You realize he sexually harassed? When he said go to the light, Clarence Thomas, he was praying for his, downfall. Why don't you look at Japan's justice system? Wait, why would I do that right now? I know Japan's justice system is fucking insane.
Judge appointed by a Republican president who told this committee he's confident you'll decide cases based on the facts and the law, not as a partisan. Now, I value the working relationship.
Oh yeah, she defended someone who was in Guantanamo Bay. Like she has an interesting background.
So work together to try and find ways as lawmakers and individuals to respect each other. And I take it as a personal sort of badge or a source of pride when someone with whom I really disagree on one issue is able to legislate with me on another. And so I imagine, Your Honor, it must be gratifying to know that a judge...
Yeah, actually, this is also correct. The sentencing issues, the sentencing issues, supposedly, that they're bringing up isn't even lenient based on the legal standard, and that many judges, just like herself, have agreed that old sentencing guidelines are too harsh and make no distinction between those who shoot and create child pornography versus those who actually distribute or have child pornography, and therefore the new recommendations and that are pretty commonplace among most judges is exactly like her, offering lower sentences than the predetermined recommendations at the federal level. So it's not even like lenient. It's not even actually fucking lenient in the sense that like she's letting people get off or anything like that.
Support of Judge Griffith. His coming here yesterday.
It's crazy.
Testifying on my behalf was so gratifying. I have tried in every respect to follow my methodology that enables me to rule impartially in every case and to understand the limits of my own judicial authority and thereby reach decisions without fear or favor. My record demonstrates that I am not proceeding from any sort of preconceived notion about how a case comes out. I'm not ruling consistent with any sort of ideology. I'm doing what impartial and fair judges do, which is to decide in every case based only on the facts and the law of that case. And I'm very, very pleased that Judge Griffith has seen that in the years that he supervised me effectively as a Court of Appeals judge when I was a district judge. And I think it's wonderful that he was able to come here and testify to that.
Well, Judge, for those watching and for those following this, that they might be puzzled because my colleague, the junior senator from the state of Texas, has tried to ascribe all sorts of views to you in his recent questioning that try to paint you as some kind of an activist with a radical agenda. And in my review of your experience and your record, these letters from judges and scholars, I don't see anything that remotely substantiates that claim. We are here to evaluate your qualifications, your judicial decision-making. But so let me get at a few of these points specifically, if I could. I've heard references to the 1619 Project and critical race theory, but I didn't hear that cited in any reference to your opinions as a judge. In your 9 years on the bench as a district court judge, more than 570 decisions, have you ever cited the 1619 Project?
No, Senator.
Well, it didn't exist.
Your 9 years on the
It literally didn't exist. That's why.
journalist or principal author of that 1619 Project.
And by the way, I mean, he's defending her, by the way. He's asking these questions for her to be on the record disavowing it or whatever the fuck. That's the other meta. On the one hand, they're trying to say she loves child pornography. Like, she's a fucking child pornographer. She loves it. She wants to, let people send and distribute child pornography. On the other hand, the conservatives are being like, she's CRT. Because, black judge, obviously. CRT, brother, which is bad, by the way. We will not describe further, but it's bad.
The parties raise in the case. I'm looking at the record, which is the facts of the case developed, if I'm on the Court of Appeals, developed below.
No, he's defending.
And I'm looking at the law.
He's asking
looking
questions
at
like that
any
so that she can fucking give clear answers. Because if someone on the Democratic side doesn't ask those questions, the only time she can answer those are in an incredibly fucked up framing, in a deeply contentious capacity. 4 people murdered in Israel by ISIS terrorists. Funny you never mentioned Muslim terror. What the fuck is ISIS, bro? Does ISIS even exist still? What are you talking about?
Well,
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
And I'll just let me
Funny how you never
detail
mention
some
Muslim
that I think
terror.
are also probative here, because I agree with the
What
wide
happened?
range
Was
of
it like the American was it the CIA and Mossad collaborating, and then like, some of those dudes some of those dudes that they fucking activated accidentally fucking blew up inside of Israeli borders? Is that what happened?
by a district court judge, but in
ISIS.
several that have been
Yeah, was, bro. ISIS fell off, dog. ISIS fell off. It's not is, it's was.
to discuss your opinion in the
And
Senate
the remaining motherfuckers in ISIS are like literally just like
wanting the death penalty.
suspiciously always propping up wherever America wants to be involved in. I don't know. It's crazy.
administration's Department of Homeland Security. The dispute was about
Yeah.
President Trump's efforts to quickly construct a physical border wall between the United States and Mexico. I'm sure I don't need to remind you or anyone here that at the time, Democrats were just about unanimous in thinking that physically building a wall from coast to coast was not the wisest use of resources to secure the border. There were other ways to do it, and with Republicans pretty much unanimously willing to defend it. So it was a
This is the only time where CRT would actually be relevant to bring up as its
its
legal theory. Yeah, but like
ultimately ruled in favor
while it's relevant to bring up,
wall.
the CRT that they want to talk about is not the CRT that actually is the legal theory.
Legal
The
case.
CRT Republicans want to talk about is just like you're a black woman and you want to, kill Whitey. That's what they think CRT is.
Favor of the Trump administration.
Senator, the claims in that case, which, as you say, were brought by an environmental organization, related to
Lucky
the
13.
Administrative Procedures
Let's go,
Act, which is something that we often see in the District of Columbia, and whether or not the agency could waive certain environmental laws pertaining to the construction of the wall, whether or not the agency's determination to do so was lawful. And I looked at the relevant circumstances, and I ended up, I believe, dismissing that case on threshold grounds before getting to that point in the analysis. But
The dog with the butter on it.
consistent with what you
Butter dog.
said, I was
The dog with the
guided
butter on it. Butter
by
dog.
my
Butter
understanding
dog.
of the law and what it required, and not by anything else.
I could spend a lot of time on the details of this case, but let me try and summarize it this way.
Okay, this is kind of boring, plus L plus ratio. We're going to get back to like some of the highlights on this right now from earlier in the day. Let's start.
Of confirmation
Let's start
hearings for Supreme
at
Court
the
nominee
beginning.
Ketanji Brown Jackson began just a short time ago. Senators on the Judiciary Committee are questioning the federal appeals court judge about her record and approach to judging.
Hassle.
Jackson has vowed to defend the Constitution and remain independent on the high court. Nicole Killian is covering the hearing for us. Nicole, good morning to you. How tough do you think it could get for the judge today?
As you can see over my shoulder, questioning just got underway this morning. Republicans are drilling down on Judge Jackson's views on everything from court packing to crime, while Democrats are trying to keep the focus on her record.
Would you like to comment at the outset of those who are looking for a label, what your position is on judicial philosophy?
I am acutely aware that as a judge in our system, I have limited power, and I am trying in every case to stay in my lane.
Democrats kicked off the second day of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearings as
Sorry, someone said, "Is hot dog a sandwich?" This is what they need to decide, bro. That would be a better use of the Senate confirmation hearing than anything else. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Is hot dog a sandwich? Describe. Okay, just explain it. I mean, actually, honestly, never mind, because
8 months.
it would probably destroy this country from within. If people started adjudicating, deliberating, endlessly, having conversations about whether or not the hot dog is a sandwich or if it's a taco, okay? I mean, that would be fucking
7
awful.
months
It
of
would
being
cripple
an
this country.
unproblematic chatter. Let's go.
It would cripple this country from within. Everyone from top to bottom. The stevedores, okay? Dock workers, the fucking welders, the coal miners,
Looking great today,
all the
King.
way up
Trying
to
to keep
the,
stress down the movement
you know,
needs you strong.
annoying fucking PhD recipients, PhD candidates writing dissertations. Everyone would be talking about this. It would probably cripple this country. It would shake it to its core, and it would destroy this country.
Donald Trump made ISIS illegal.
That's what Russia wants you to talk about. Is hot dog a sandwich?
Republicans pressed for a thorough review.
Do you believe the individual right to keep and bear arms is a fundamental right?
It came after a
Brain
day
Rot
of
Baby is almost
introductions.
ready.
Thank you for this historic chance to join the highest court.
The nation's first black female Supreme Court nominee opened her confirmation hearing acknowledging her family.
My parents
NPR did her dirty this morning. They were talking about her, and they were like,
Fungus.
or no, Cory Booker was talking about how her like whole family was crying or in the verge of tears, and NPR was like, everyone except for her daughter. Like, I don't know why they just mentioned everyone in Ketanji Brown Jackson's family except for her daughter were on the verge of tears. Like, it's just like, dude, just don't have to add that. Like, you know.
parents taught me that unlike the many barriers that they had had to face growing up, my path was clearer.
And affirming her commitment to the law.
I have been a judge
Noise.
for nearly a decade now, and I take that responsibility and my duty to be independent very seriously. I decide cases from a neutral posture.
Missouri's Josh Hawley ticked through several of Jackson's sentencing decisions, claiming she was too lenient on sex offenders, a claim that has been refuted by the White House and Democratic lawmakers.
I'm not interested in trapping Judge Jackson. I'm not interested.
Bro, that's bullshit. You literally, dude, come on, dog. Come on, dog. Acting like that's not the whole purpose. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Straight up, the only reason, okay?
In trying to play gotcha. I'm interested in her answers.
Answers that she is starting to give today, speaking about how seriously she takes those offenses and what she tells offenders.
That you are contributing to child sex abuse, and then I impose a significant sentence and all of the additional restraints that are available in the law.
Senators are getting 30 minutes apiece to question Judge.
All right, let's hear what fucking John Cornyn had to say, okay?
Sandwich.
John Cornyn had a few thoughts on Ketanji Brown Jackson's legacy, and also what she had to say about GWB and Donald Rumsfeld, you know, our big beautiful boys who were defenders of democracy, who brought democracy to Iraq.
You well, but I've been impressed by our interaction, and you've been gracious and charming. Why in the world would you call Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld and George W. Bush war criminals?
Because they are. That's the answer. Because they are war criminals. Because they did war crimes. That's the reason. That's the answer, that she would correctly call them war criminals. Because they are war criminals. They are. They should be rotting in the bottom of The Hague, which I suspect is not where they hold the prisoners, but the International Criminal Court. They should just like bury them under it. Okay.
Legal filing. It seems so out of character for you.
Senator, you may have been are you talking about briefs that or habeas petitions that I filed?
Talking about when you were representing a member of the Taliban, and the Department of Defense identified him as an intelligence officer for the Taliban, and you referred to the Secretary of Defense and the sitting President of the United States as war criminals. Why would you do something like that? It seems so out of character.
Well,
because they are. It'd be so sick. It would be so sick if we had like epic libs again. You know what I mean? Because like epic libs back in the day would just straight up say like Bush is Hitler. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they do it for Trump too, but now they also suck off Bush at the same time. Imagine if she was like an epic lib who literally was just like, because they are. Because George W. Bush is a war criminal and did 9/11. You know what I mean? Like fucking boom, blammo. Real blammo moment right there. That'd be fucking absolutely incredible.
Bruh.
Senator, I don't remember that particular reference, and I was representing my clients and making arguments. I'd have to take a look at what you meant. I did not intend to disparage the president or the Secretary of Defense.
Aw, womp womp. That's whack, dude.
Being a war criminal has huge ramifications. You could be
Speaking of being a war criminal having huge ramifications, Joe Biden had a brain fart and was like, "That's right, Jack, look alive. Vladimir Putin's a war criminal." And like, obviously, to the Norman or even to the international relations understander, like, we know that like every fucking major nation's leader has done war crimes, right? Like, obviously, I mean, it's pretty funny. Like, we're fucking literally war criminals. Our entire government is responsible for endless amounts of war crimes, including like the sanctions on Afghanistan that have currently killed 12,000 children. 12,000 children so far. That's what our sanctions have done to Afghanistan and the government that we put in a position of power. So, we're just doing war crimes like nonstop, right? Which I will get to in a second. But it's wild.
Past 1 year.
But anyway, Joe Brandon said Putin was a war criminal, and basically the Russian government said they're going to completely just pull from any sort of diplomatic conversations. Like, they threatened to say that they would no longer, they called Joe Brandon a fake friend, basically, and said, like, you can't do that. You can't call us a war criminal.
be subject to the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court and hauled before that international tribunal and tried for war crimes. So it's not a casual comment, I would suggest.
Oh, isn't it? Well, hey, dumbass, like, that's what you deserve. You deserve it too, just for being a fucking piece of shit. How about that? Okay? But, like, they definitely deserve that. In a just world, they literally, that would happen. That is what would happen, except we live in an unjust world where America, unironically, straight the fuck up, have written rules that dictate that if a single fucking diplomat or American, a member of the armed forces is extradited to The Hague, that they will fucking invade it. So it doesn't even matter.
Yes. Thank you.
His PR team obviously told him to call Putin a war criminal, which he almost fucked up. No, they probably told him not to call Putin a war criminal, and he fucked up and called him a war criminal.
A few points here. Congressman Jim Clyburn was a strong supporter of Michelle Childs, and now I believe he is publicly supporting your nomination. And Michelle Childs has been nominated by President Biden to be a circuit judge, and she will be considered by this committee as quickly as possible. On the issue of Guantanamo, there are currently 39 Guantanamo detainees remaining. The annual budget for Guantanamo is $540 million per year.
That's, hey, brother, that seems like good. It's not waste. Oh, do you have diabetes? Fuck you. Die. Sorry. We got to keep literally imprisoning people in our black site torture prison. Okay? Sorry. For 39 people, brother. 39 people that we need to keep torturing in our black site prison, specifically designed for avoiding habeas corpus laws, like avoiding human rights laws. That's why it's in Guantanamo. Okay? Like, no fucking trial, no due process, devoid of all of that. Specifically built, designed, and put on top of Guantanamo Bay so it's not on American borders, so we can violate human rights all the fucking time and torture these motherfuckers. Some of which are literally not even, we don't know. First of all, innocent until proven guilty, except no, they're guilty until proven innocent, except no, they will never be proven innocent because half the time there is no fucking trial. Okay? Only recent. I mean, there are some trials. Ketanji Brown Jackson is one of the fucking trial lawyers that defended a supposedly quote unquote Taliban asset. So $500 million a year for a prison with less than 50 inmates is the greatest example of U.S. priorities and tax expenditures. Fuck yeah, dude. We're hiring a lot of people, dude. There's a McDonald's on that island. What do you mean? The United States pays Cuba $4,000 a month in rent for Guantanamo. Yeah, that's like bullshit too. Yeah, there was one that was proven innocent and then kept another 7 years after being found innocent during Obama's time. That's also true. It's fucking dope. It's sick. We are so we're literally the worst country on the planet, dude. It's so fucking dumb. I think the desperation in which people are like clinging on to Russia also being bad kind of reveals why people are doing that, because like progressives want like another villain so that like people like me will shut the fuck up about America being the main villain. You know what I mean? But like I will never shut the fuck up about America being the main villain, because we are the bad guys. We do bad things all the fucking time. And you are literally stupid for not recognizing it or trying to desperately hide that truth from yourself so you can maintain your fifis about American exceptionalism and America being like a really sick, cool, and humanitarian country to live in. A country that doesn't even care about its own fucking citizens that haven't even committed crimes or anything. You know what I mean? Let alone its own citizens that have.
Means each of these detainees is being held at the expense of $12 or $13 million per year. If they would be incarcerated at Florence, Colorado, the Supermax prison, federal prison, the amount would be dramatically less. Since 9/11, nearly 1,000 convicted in the United States on terrorism charges. Since 2009, with the beginning of the Obama administration, the recidivism rate of Guantanamo detainees released is 5%.
Mr. Chairman, according to the Department, Director of National Intelligence, is 31%. Somebody is wrong here. If you're going to talk about what I said, I'm going to respond to what you said. If we close Gitmo and move them to Colorado, do you support indefinite detention under the law of war for these detainees?
By the way, he's saying it. They're openly talking about it. It's because we can't do indefinite detention without a trial if they move to Colorado. If they move to the United States, like we can't keep torturing them permanently. You know, we can't fucking waterboard them. We can still torture them because like the American criminal justice system is awful and does do torture. That's why Norway will never extradite prisoners to the United States of America, for the record, because they consider it an unimaginable violation of human rights to be imprisoned in the United States of America. Okay. Murat Kurnaz, who was in Guantanamo Bay, was my classmate's brother. Insane stuff that went on there. Fuck this place. I live in Colorado. I don't think Coloradans should be tortured.
I would just say I'm giving the facts. And
The answer is no.
I want to make sure that it's clear. The 31% you referred to goes back to the year 2009? 2000.
What does it matter when it goes back to? We had them and they got loose and they started killing people.
Well, I could just say that.
If you're one of the people killed in 2005, does it matter to you when we release them?
Suggest that a president of your own party released him in.
I'm suggesting the
creating that
system has
danger.
failed miserably, and advocates to change this system, like she was advocating, would destroy our ability to protect this country. We're at war. We're not fighting a crime. This is not some passage of time event. As long as they're dangerous, I hope they all die in jail if they're going to go back and kill Americans. It won't bother me one bit if
Shut the fuck up, dude. What a paper tiger. Like, the only way he can posture is like by literally talking about how he loves torturing people. You know what I mean? Without fucking due process. Shut the fuck up, bitch. How about you go to Guantanamo Bay and get fucking blasted all day, every day, you fucking asshole. Just so fucked up, dude. It is like our criminal justice system is already disgusting as it is. Just Putting them in normal fucking human rights violation factory, aka American prisons, is fine. You know what I mean? But no, you can't do that because then you can't have indefinite suspension, indefinite detention for without any sort of fucking trial whatsoever.
Pog.
39 of them die in prison. That's a better outcome than letting them go. And if it costs $500 million to keep them in jail, keep them in jail because they're going to go back to the fight. Look at the friggin' Afghan government. It's made up of...
They're going to go back to the fight? Dude, Donald Trump literally took the leader of the Taliban out of a fucking Pakistani prison, flew him into wherever the fuck they were having the negotiating the terms of their conditional withdrawal. Did not even bring the Afghan puppet government that we had installed to the table because the Taliban was like, no, okay, no, absolutely not. Afghanistan is ours. And this motherfucker's like, I can't believe you. We need to kill these folks. I mean, look at Afghanistan. It's fucked up. Bitch, we have caused irreparable harm in Afghanistan, okay? We did that. You did that. You were a part of that. You were like responsible for it. It's fucking mind-boggling.
Former detainees at Gitmo. This whole thing by the left about this war ain't working.
Let me also note that Larry Thompson, who served as Deputy Attorney General under President George W. Bush, Oren Kerr, Special Counsel, Viet Den, who served as Assistant Attorney General for Legal Policy in the George W. Bush administration, John Bellinger, and former D.C. Circuit Judge, Solicitor General, and Independent Counsel Ken Starr were also prominent conservative lawyers signing a letter defending attorneys who represented Guantanamo Bay detainees. I don't believe that we should associate that activity as being inconsistent with our constitutional values. We are going to at this point recognize Senator Feinstein and then take a break after she has completed her questioning. Senator Feinstein.
Thank you very
Of the 5 men we released from Gitmo as part of the prisoner swap for Sergeant Bergdale, here's where they're at. Mohammed Fazal was appointed Deputy Minister of Defense. Noor was appointed Acting Minister of Borders and Tribal Affairs. Waziki was appointed as Acting Intelligence Director. Kerr, again, Acting Minister of Information, Culture, Defense. Omar was appointed as the new governor of the southeastern province of Khost. These were 5 people that we had in our control that are now helping the Taliban run the country. Would you say that our system in terms of releasing people needs to be re-looked at?
Senator, what I'd say is that that's not a job for the courts in this way. That
as an American, does that bother you?
Well, obviously, Senator, any repeated criminal behavior or repeated attacks, acts of war, bother me as an American.
Well, it bothers me. While I will not hold it against you, nor should I, the fact that you represent Gitmo detainees, I think it's time to look at this system new, folks. When 31% of the people are going back to fight to kill Americans and now running the Taliban government, we have gone wrong somewhere. Are we still at war?
So the AUMF, the authorization for military force, is still in effect. Congress has authorized the use of force against people in this way.
But do you personally believe that Al-Qaeda, ISIS-type groups are still at war with us?
I think, yes. I mean, I think we...
So we're still in a state of war with certain elements of radical Islam to this very day?
I believe that's documented, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to change my pants. It's fucking really cranking out the AC in the house today. A little cold for shorts. Even though it's 81 degrees and sunny here in California, Los Angeles. Sorry, folks. Didn't want to flex on you like that. But, my Lord.
Anyone
Very
else wanna
cold.
punch Lindsey Graham in the face?
Anyway,
Why don't they ask her about the top of the hour
Well, I
ad
talked to you a little bit
break at the
about family and
17-month
faith
Sarjan?
because in your opening statement,
how important is faith to you?
and the people who introduced you to the committee, there was very glowing praise of you as a person, a good friend. You have a wonderful
WTF
family. You should
15
be
months.
proud, and your faith matters to you. What faith are you, by the way?
Senator, I am Protestant,
Okay.
non-denominational.
Okay. Could you fairly judge a Catholic?
3
Senator,
months, Babby.
Dude, he's doing the meme. He's doing the Amy COVID Barrett meme. That's why he's doing this. Doing the Amy COVID Barrett meme. He's like doing. This is like epic liberal guy, but on the Republican side. Okay, he's doing that thing. This is the Lin-Manuel Miranda of like being a Republican. Okay, just fucking be racist, dude. That's like way more understandable than this shit.
How
Okay,
about they release the top of the hour ad
I
break?
hate it. I hate it when like Republicans try to do that. Like I hate it when Democrats do it, obviously, and that's all they fucking do. When they're constantly like, oh yeah, well, they didn't have this kind of consideration for a brilliant, bold woman like Amy COVID Barrett. It's like the same shit that he's trying to do.
I have a record of
I think the
fairly
answer would be yes.
judging everyone.
I believe you can. I'm just asking this question because how important is your faith to you?
Senator, personally, my faith is very important. But as you know, there's no religious test in the Constitution under Article 6, and
There will be none with me.
It's very important to set aside one's personal views
Yeah.
about things
I-
in the role of a judge.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I believe you can. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how faithful would you say you are in terms of religion? You know, I go to church probably 3 times a year, so that speaks poorly of me. Or do you attend church regularly?
Well, Senator, I am reluctant to talk about my faith in this way just because I want to be mindful of the need for the public to have confidence in my ability to separate out my personal views.
Well, how would you feel if a senator up here said, your faith, the dogma lives loudly within you, and that's of concern? How would you feel if somebody up here on our side said, you know, you attend church?
Here it is, boys. Come on. A lot of you didn't understand what he was trying to do. A lot of you didn't understand what he was trying to do until, you know, right at this very moment. He's being an epic-based fucking, you know, debate guy, okay? There it is. He's doing an epic like, oh, well, it wasn't okay against Amy COVID Barrett, and it's not okay against you, okay? There.
Somebody up here on our side said, you know, you attend church too much for me, or your faith is a little bit different to me, and they would suggest that it would affect your decision.
This is a real bazinga moment, okay? He just pulled off the biggest bazinga. He's gonna, oh man, the country club boys are gonna love that one, you know?
Would you find that offensive?
Senator,
I would if I were you. I found it offensive when they said it about Judge Barrett. The reason I ask these questions is I have no doubt that your faith is important to you, and I have zero doubt
there you go.
that you can adjudicate people's cases fairly. if
There
they're
you go.
manifest.
He did it. Oh, bazinga, you know? Judge Jackson, could you tell us properly at the top of the hour that there's a 60-second ad break, or will you lie to the Hasanabi broadcast watchers and not tell them that there's a top of the hour ad break that's coming for them? That's right. Will you tell those who are watching that if you no longer want to see those ads, that all you need to do is subscribe for $5, or if you don't have $5 for free with a Twitch Prime. As long as you got an Amazon account, you can connect to your Twitch account. You do that. Yes, okay, well, maybe if you're lucky, you can get gifted a sub as well, but not everyone is
Wow,
lucky.
10
You make your own
buckaroos.
luck around these parts. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. Blammo. Yeah, we'll get to the racist babies in a second. Hold on. Jackson just claims I'm being soft on crime.
What do you say to people say you're soft on crime or even anti-law enforcement? Because
Bro, that's a Dark Souls build, dude. This is like literally like a Dark Souls character.
you accepted your duties as a public defender.
Thank you, Senator. I would make I'd make 3 observations in response to those critiques. The first is that as someone who has had family members on patrol and in the line of fire, I care deeply about public safety.
Motherfucker hollowed
I
out.
know what it's like to have loved ones who go off to protect and to serve, and the fear of not knowing whether or not they're going to come home again because of crime in the community. As you said, my brother patrolled the streets of Baltimore, and I had 2 uncles who were career law enforcement, including...
How do I feel about her answers? I think she's doing fine. I mean, she's like... Bro, this is the Joe Brandon administration. You think they're going to put up a fucking, like, super epic-based person? No, obviously not. Like, doing all right. I mean...
I want to poke him with a bullet.
She's doing as best as anyone would while being literally fucking brutalized. Straight up being brutalized by people who are hitting her with the worst, like, bad faith bullshit, you know?
One who became the chief of police of the City of Miami Police Department in the 1990s. So crime and the effects on the community and the need for law enforcement, those are not abstract concepts or political slogans to me. The second observation.
I love when chatters just like lose their minds and go, 2 pots
choose the new
fucking.
emotes
I got
already?
it, bro. Like, I know what that is. Like, I know, I've seen it. You don't have to just like, you've given up on being like, oh, this is a chiropractor cracking the back of another one. You're just like, 2 pots fucking, bro. Hey, what's up? What's going on, Hasanabi? Oh, we're watching someone get fucking confirmed. We're watching the confirmation hearing for, you know, the first African American woman Supreme Court justice. That's 2 pots fucking, bro.
That I would make is that as a lawyer and as a citizen, I care deeply about our Constitution and about the rights that make us free. As you say, criminal defense lawyers perform a service, and our system is exemplary throughout the world precisely because
I'm actually kind of surprised that Republicans are not jumping on the Joe Brandon is, has elected you or has appointed you just because you're a black woman and that's racist. Like, because they were saying that before, and kind of surprised that they're not anymore.
I did it, brain rot time.
Maybe they'll bring it out. That's too blatantly racist. They can't say that to her face.
we ensure that people who are accused of crimes are treated fairly.
10 months, hell
It's
yeah.
very important to me in that capacity as a lawyer and as a citizen. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say the third thing I would say is as a judge. As a judge, I care deeply about the rule of law.
Yeah,
and I know that in order for us to have a functioning society, we have to have people being held accountable for committing crimes. But we have to do so fairly under our Constitution. As a judge
5 months,
who has to decide how to handle these cases, I know it's important to have arguments from both sides, to have competent counsel. And it doesn't mean that lawyers condone the behavior of their clients. They're making arguments on behalf of their clients.
Yeah, I mean,
in defense of the Constitution and in service of the court. And it is a service.
The Biden administration is raising the alarm.
Okay, back to Ukraine. That's more Ukraine coverage. Before we get back to Ukraine, though, there's still hella going on in the fucking. There's still some good shit coming out from the confirmation hearings, like trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Ted Cruz, Theodore Jebediah Edward Raphael Cruz is back on. Okay, and he he is going to ask the tough questions that nobody wants to ask. That's right.
So, Judge Jackson, all of us will agree that no one should be discriminated against because of race. When you just testified a minute ago that you didn't know if critical race theory was taught in K through 12, I will confess I find that statement a little hard to reconcile with the public record, because if you look at the Georgetown Day School's curriculum, it is filled and overflowing with.
I don't know what to say to this. Like, I don't know what to say. This is so fucking stupid, dude. I can't believe you're not talking about the Georgetown Day School curriculum that has my version of critical race theory, which is entirely made up, all over it, top to bottom. It's kind of fucked up that you don't know about how much filled to the brim with critical race theory our K through 12 schools are. Absolutely. Absolutely filled to the goddamn brim.
All nukes are bad.
Anyway, it's going to get to a really funny place, though. Trust me. Just wait. Also, you guys did not fucking blast off on this hard enough. I'm just saying. Look at that. 827 likes on that. We fell off. Plus white, plus on white, plus ratio.
Critical race theory. That among the books that are either assigned or recommended, they include Critical Race Theory, an introduction. They include The End of Policing, an advocacy for abolishing police. They include How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. They include literally stacks.
Disgusting. I am so mad. I am so incredibly mad. You understand me? I'm so mad. They're teaching these kids how to not be racist. How fucked up is that? Don't you know it's heritage, not hate? But hatred is our heritage.
Stacks and stacks of books, and I'll tell you two of the ones that were most stunning. They include a book called Anti-Racist Baby by Ibram Kendi. And
oh, that's awesome. Fuck yes, dude. Let's go. Let's go. That's sick. I can't wait for this.
There are portions of this book that I find really quite remarkable. One portion of the book says babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There is no neutrality. Another portion of the book.
Bro, by the way, the funniest part about all this is that this shit is mid, dude. I mean, look, obviously, it's like fucking, children's books is like a racket. and a way to make money. But like, it's just so mid. It's not even good. It's like, oh, babies are only taught to be racist or anti-racist. There's no in between. Yeah, okay. Well, that's just whack. There's nothing even fun there. Like, this is not like a fun. The art itself is like all right.
They recommend to babies confess when being racist.
What?
Now, this is a book that is taught at Georgetown Day School.
What? Yo, anti-racist rhetoric is hilarious, dude. I'm sorry. But like, some of this shit is so fucking stupid. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Oh. Okay. Confess when being racist.
Happy anniversary.
This is a racist ass baby. This baby is doing hate crimes.
To students in pre-K through second grade, so 4 through 7 years old. Do you agree with this book that is being taught with kids that babies are racist?
In all capital letters, Kappa.
Bro, this is the Supreme Court justice, dude. Yo, this is our Senate confirmation hearing for the next Supreme Court justice. Like, literally like a deity, as close to a demigod as you can be in the American political, in the American government. Like, this is it. It's a lifetime appointment. You are literally going to be fucking deliberating on shit like that is going to change the lives of millions of people, maybe even billions, depending on, you know, because America has like an incredibly strong. America has a lot of influence over overseas, as we all know. So like, wild that, you know, this is the question that Ted Cruz is fucking asking in this confirmation hearing.
Senator, I do.
Dude, what is that pause? Okay, that's
Taught with kids that babies are racist?
Wait.
Senator, I do not believe that any child should be made to feel as though they are racist or though they are not valued or though they are less than, that they're victims, that they are oppressors. I don't.
It's like, yo, I don't think I want this job anymore. Yo, we are literally in the, this is the worst country. We are, come on. You can't say this is a good country. Okay, you can't. You can't maintain the position that we're a good and normal country and then do this shit. Okay, you just can't. You can't do that.
Believe in any of that. But what I will say is that when you asked me whether or not this was taught in schools, critical race theory, my understanding is that critical race theory as an academic theory is taught in law schools, and to the extent that you were asking the question, I understood you to be addressing public schools. Georgetown Day School, just like the religious school that Justice Barrett was on the board of, is a private school.
Okay, so you agree critical race theory is taught at Georgetown Day School?
I don't know, because the board is not, the board does not control the curriculum. The board does not focus on that. That's not what we do as board members, so I'm actually not sure.
Well, and I'll note that the board is chaired by Professor Fairfax, your college roommate who introduced you yesterday. So the two of you serve on the board together. Another book that is on the summer reading for 3rd through 5th grade is a book called Stamped for Kids, again by Ibram Kendi.
Bro, Ibram Kendi got the bag, okay? Straight up. I mean, holy fuck, dude. It's like It's just like, what the
Yes, if
fuck?
I got my
Everybody,
brains
just
to choose.
everybody's like, yo, you got it. This is it. You want to understand racism? You got to read Ibram Kendi. Okay? It is a major bag alert. Holy fuck, dude. Oh my Lord. It's crazy.
Hasan, please, where did you get your jacket? 10 months no ban pogo.
I read the entirety of the book, and I will say
Wait, first of all, Ted Cruz definitely did not read Ibram Kendi. Or if he read it, he like hate read it, I guess, and like did not take in any of the lessons.
it is an astonishing book. On page 33, it asks the question, can we send white people back to Europe? That's on 33. That's what's being given to 8 and 9 years old.
Wait, why is he acting like that is okay? What's the rest of that? What is the rest of the quote? That's most likely That's most likely an example. I mean, I am obviously a racist myself, so I have not read any Ibram Kendi as an LGBT foe and also a racist who has been banned for racism, anti-white racism, the only kind of racism that matters. I'm going to go ahead and assume that the point of that hypothetical is to say like how silly it is to say that to black people. He clip chimped a book. Yeah. How are you gonna take a book out of context, dude? That's crazy. They like literally wrote letters in there. They wrote the words in there. It does not lend itself to be clipped out of context. It's crazy.
It also, on page 115,
I'm a racist baby, actually, I've realized.
says the idea that we should pretend not to see racism is connected to the idea that we should pretend not to see color. It's called color blindness.
My man's Kendi.
Skipping ahead, here's what's wrong with this. It's ridiculous. Skin colors.
Book is pretty bad though, for real. Yeah, I think like a lot of the anti-racist, like, as someone who kind of does like whatever Republicans think is CRT regularly, okay, but you know, in a cool way. Okay, I think a lot of this fucking writing material is dumb as fuck. I don't know anyone. I've never met a person who's been like, yeah, I read this book and I'm no longer racist. You know what I mean? I feel like the anti-racism curriculum is maybe it's helpful. I don't know, but I do find it just fucking kind of dumb overall, you know? Yes, they're cringe, but talking about race with kids is literally always cringe. I don't think I got a single good lesson on racism in public school. Ted has a bad take here, but the book is not good at all. He says everything one does is considered racist. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't really know that much about Ibram Kendi's writings. It's just like fucking annoying though. I hate like the white fragility arguments and yada yada. It's real. White fragility is a real concept, but I do despise the like the types of anti-racist writing that hammers on the point or like vilifies from a point of morality white people across the board. It's just stupid. Like you have to invoke some kind of materialist analysis in your arguments and describe the reasons as to why certain kinds of divisions amongst intra-class divisions exist. And a lot of them don't do that, and they just say like, "Oh, if you're white, you're racist." I'm obviously exaggerating, and that's what Republicans exaggerate on as well. But there's always like some weird cringe shit that you know, these libs are fucking making specifically so they can get the bag on dumbass corporations that will hire them to speak to their fucking executives and tell them that, you know, here's how you do anti-racism or whatever. Not explaining it well? What do you mean? No, I'm being reductive with my explanation, but the explanation is still correct. You're sounding pretty white right now. I mean, I am. It's true. But also, I mean, if you're black, I don't think you need to read Ibram Kendi to understand racism. These books are literally fucking created for white people who are racist or who have racist points of view. That's the reason why this entire genre exists, is like anti-racism books. It's not for you, dumbass. You're black already. You know racism. You experience it every fucking day. You know, this is like quite literally, stay out of racist people's business, okay? Sweaty, stay out of racist people's business, okay? No, but I don't know. I think like it panders to people who already agree with it, and I don't know if it does a really good job of like changing people away or moving people away from having white supremacist attitudes. I don't think. I mean, if you're familiar with my approach, you already know this. Like across the board, unconditionally, I talk about the American foundational principles of white supremacy being upheld. Every facet of our government is literally designed. Every facet of our government has historically and in contemporary society designed around upholding white supremacist attitudes and churning out white supremacist disparities. That's just how it is. So make no mistake, I'm not one of those like systemic racism isn't real. No, of course it's real. I just personally think that, and maybe I'm wrong. I personally think that the anti-racism industry in particular is designed by people
I think in the case
are already in agreement with whatever the fucking
racist and still proliferate racist ideas.
a lot of those people who already agree with like Ibram Kendi's perspective, who just want to offer this as reading material because they think it'll be successful at changing people's minds or whatever. But it's kind of a it's just like a little bit of an opportunity for libs to get the bag, The things that I have seen of people that the things that I've seen of people in the anti-racism industry, it feels like it comes from a place of somewhat unhelpful place of just like changing people's minds by talking about how like everyone is unconditionally racist, even though it is true, or you can be racist or anti-racist. But I think like, feeding that subtly and feeding an anti-racism pill subtly is a little bit better, I think.
Help me, chat.
Something we all absolutely see. Skipping ahead, so to pretend not to see color is pretty convenient if you don't actually want to stamp out racism in the first place. Now, what this book argues for is the exact opposite of what Dr. King spoke about on the floor of the Lincoln Memorial. And
then I'm back. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You could literally write a book about how, you should write Fuck White People, the book, and it does not matter. It is literally nothing, and I mean nothing, is as horrible as what conservatives get to fucking say on a daily basis about black people, about historic black figures, about how whitewashed, the whitewashing that they engage in. It's over. You should actually give whips to the black students to whip the white students, and it still wouldn't make up for this rhetoric happening, okay? In fucking, in schools and all around, in every part of America. Holy fuck, dude. I am losing my fucking mind. Jesus Christ. And it's so normal. What I said is abnormal. What I said is insane, right? You're like, what the fuck? I can't believe he said that. That's crazy. But what Ted Cruz can get to say every fucking day is just like destroy the history and the background of a radical, democratic socialist, black civil rights leader and totally get away with it. And literally, in the most disgusting, the filthiest way possible, use his fucking quotes and not the rest of his work, where he even talks about how his dream is no longer realized and no longer can be realized even. to say some racist shit, to stand to stand against progress. It's fucking, it makes me so mad.
Are you comfortable with these ideas being taught to children as young as 4 in respect to the first book, as young as 8 and 9 in respect to the second book?
Senator, I have not reviewed any of those books, any of those ideas. They don't.
If I didn't come across anti-racist materials in school, I probably used to be brainwashed by a crazy racist family, I guess. Maybe it helps. It might. And you know what? I'm sorry. If it does, then great.
Come up in my work as a judge, which I'm respectfully here to address. In my work as a judge, which is evidenced from my near decade on the bench.
Okay, good. Then let's go back to your work as a judge.
There is probably nothing more disgusting, nothing more heinous, nothing more racist than like using Martin Luther King's quotes out of context to literally justify being further racist. Like, I can't, in my mind, I can't imagine something. It's insane, dude. And that's how, that's another testament to how prevalent white supremacy is, okay? That's it. White supremacy is such a normative position that people can get away with doing that.
Wow.
It's it. People can get away with doing that. And that's what's taught in schools. That is, nobody knows about his fucking, you know, nobody knows about his radical background, what he would be considered as a radical, why he would be considered a radical by today's standards as well.
Love you, Dad.
It's crazy. In my opinion, a shallow representation of anti-racism in school is better than a non-exciting one. I mean, non-existing one, you mean, right? Yeah, I agree with that, for sure. Right, only white people are racist, no one else. Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. Ted Cruz is awesome. Yes, TPO, blame white people. Dude, you are so fucking brain dead. Not just for this argument, but like you're so horny that you can't even write racist or typical correctly. Like, imagine being so fucking incredibly brain broken that like you get so angry. Like you're so fragile. I never talked about only white people being racist or anything like that. As a matter of fact, if you had more than a fucking singular brain cell, you would have probably recognized that I have a much more agreeable position in this circumstance than just saying like only white people are racist, blah, 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 like any of that. But that is white fragility. Like, that's it. That's literally it. Nobody's talking about you, you dumbass, and you're still losing your shit. And I can't properly communicate how big of a dumbass you are and what the specific word or salty, delicious snack I would normally in other circumstances use because I would get banned for 7 fucking days.
Bezos money good.
But the behavior you're exhibiting is crazy to me. Different C word I will use. Okay?
Chatting.
Literally said it's directed towards white people and that you don't support these books. Like, I don't think they're you know, reaching the audience in a way that it's supposed to. Anyway, let's watch.
President Biden announcing his pick for the Supreme Court, nominating Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Federal Appeals Court Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
She is Judge Ketanji Jackson, rather.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Ketanji Brown.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
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 Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
He selected Judge Brown Jackson.
Ketanji Brown Johnson.
President Biden announcing his pick for the Supreme Court, nominating Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Federal Appeals Court Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Bro, she said,
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
bro, how the fuck? Okay, look. Some names are hard, bro. Okay? Some names are hard. This literally is not one of them. Like, that's crazy. Am I wilding out? Like, it's not like that's not a hard name. What the fuck?
I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson.
As a matter of fact, I feel like they added more letters to it and like kind of made it harder for no reason. Like Ketanya. Wild. They say it wrong on purpose for the same reason they intentionally misgender trans people. No. Oh, these are all fucking. No, it's not intentional racism. The racism in that situation or like the bigotry in that situation comes from not caring enough to say it correctly. And I fuck names up all the time too. So, yeah, it's not, dude, come on.
Thanks for all the hard work you put in.
Like, Ketanji is how you say
Judge.
it. Okay. Oh, by the way, did you watch Tucker Carlson's drip last night? Look at that watch. Did you watch Tucker Carlson's drip last night? Says Benny Johnson.
Hassle.
Disgusting. I think it's like, it's disrespectful. I don't know if maybe some might be racist, but I think the racism comes from just like not caring enough to say it correctly. You know what I mean?
Tucker Carlson built like a frog.
What is this? My sister's history teachers making them list the positive effects of imperialism. I think it's asking us to identify the positive imperialism, something that killed thousands. Slavery is extremely undermining and disrespectful to people whose ancestors were murdered because of colonization. What are the positive effects of imperialism? What is it, like that it's a civilizing force or something? Is that what they're going to say? Anyway, here, let's go. Get back to Josh Hall, not Josh Hawley.
Recently,
Ben Sass.
Explaining his approach to interpreting a statute, you're not going to go outside the words, but it often doesn't give you the answer. And you look at the history, and you look at its purposes, and you look at the consequences too.
I guess the positive is like infrastructure, so you can do imperialism better. You know what I mean? Like in a lot of situations, like in order for the slave trade to work effectively, or even currently in modern conditions, like you have to literally build infrastructure so you can extract the natural resource and exploit the population better. You know what I mean? India, railroads in general, in Africa too, comes to mind. You know what I mean? That's like kind of why you do that. So I guess is that the positive?
Keep up the good work.
I don't know.
Legislature intended, as opposed to the court saying, I see this statute, but I'm, uncomfortable with how it's going to turn out or what it's going to mean, and so I'm going to import my own policy perspective. Instead, the court is constrained to say, regardless of what I think the right policy objective should be in this, with respect to this law, my purpose, my requirement is to determine what Congress intended.
But with respect to legislative intent, when a Congress of 535 often distracted people, 100 in this body and 435 in the other, pass something, by a 2-to-1-ish vote, and it's a part of a large piece of legislation, how do you determine what the intent is when it's 535 people doing something that has many, many different purposes for why somebody might vote yes?
Well, you look at the text. I mean, the way in which statutes are interpreted
Proud to be a sub.
is based on what the legislature says. There are times in which there are statutes in which Congress includes a purpose statement, for example, in the actual text of the statute. You look at the text of the provision. If that isn't clear, you look at the structure of the statute. There are canons of interpretation that courts use to evaluate and interpret statutes. Things like a word that appears in the section that you are interpreting should be defined the same way it is in another section. The same word being used, Congress probably intended for it to have the same meaning. So there are tools in the law that exist to help courts to interpret the text, but again, the goal is to interpret the text as a means of understanding and reflecting what Congress intended. And of course, in statutory interpretation, if Congress decides that the court has gotten it wrong, then, as has happened many times, Congress comes back and clarifies and tells the court, no, this is what the statute means.
I want to go back to an exchange you had with Senator Cornyn. Substantive due process is a doctrine that often allows courts to create new fundamental rights. What's the test for determining a new fundamental right?
The Supreme Court has said in the Glucksberg case.
I'm sick and tired of new fundamental rights. I want new fundamental wrongs, okay? That's what I want.
I shitted in my pants.
Specifically directed towards Republicans.
That are deeply rooted in the nation's history and tradition. In a case prior to that, the court had defined it as the rights that are implicit in the ordered concept of liberty or the concept of ordered liberty. So there are standards for the courts to use to identify these types of rights.
So did the Supreme Court use this test in Roe or Casey?
In Roe and Casey, I don't know that the court used that formulation. I know that after Casey, the court has determined not so much that the right to terminate a woman's pregnancy is fundamental. The right exists, and it's subject to the framework in Casey that allows for regulation so long as there's not an undue burden on the exercise of the right pre-viability.
I think some of what we're wrestling with here is the question of, and I think what Senator Cornyn was driving at, is how particular the concept of deeply rooted goes and how that really is a bound on what the judiciary can do. But I want to thank you. We're nearly at time. I want to thank you for engaging in the back and forth. I want to think more about what you've said.